Welcome everybody. My name is host Big Sheed.
There's
I'm Rashid,
not
also
host.
known as Big Sheed. And today, hey, welcome to the off season. We're going to be discussing some moves from the teams that we like and we support. We're also going to be discussing some overall changes that's happened in the league this season. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. As an Eagles fan, we made several very, very good trades. I'm sorry, the trades are a little
Signings.
iffy, but we had some really good signings. And then I thought that we did a really good job at retaining some of our key core guys. I'm really a fan of the Hassan Reddick, the Landon Dickerson, and the Jake Elliott extensions. I think those guys have earned that, each earning either All Pro or Pro Bowl honors over the last 2 seasons or so. So I really like those signings. Um, Little off note, I was a little surprised. I wasn't surprised by the Jason Kelsey retirement. I think that he had a excellent tenure in career in the
Phenomenal.
NFL.
Phenomenal.
Um,
Hall of Famer.
I think he'll absolutely, and I think he'll go down as if not the best center in the history of the Eagles, but one of the best players. So
Oh.
salute to you.
I don't think it's a
Uh,
question of best center in Eagles history. I think it's best center in NFL history is the question. I
hey,
think he's hands down the best center in Eagles history.
hey,
Mm,
absolutely.
agree.
Hey, I'll take that. So I think that that's a great way to segue into some of the signings. Um, as a replacement, or if not, the very least, a stopgap would be. I like the Matt Hennessy signing. Spent some time in Atlanta. He was the starting center there. I really like that pickup there for the Eagles. Um, Another signing that I really thought was great, was phenomenal, is the Saquon Barkley. I probably should have started with that, but I really like the Saquon Barkley signing. I
So
was a little surprised that the Eagles did spend money on a running back, which they haven't done in a while.
I was gonna bring that up. Do you think that this signifies a change in the offense at all?
Well, no, I think that the Eagles, at the core of what the Eagles do, is they like to run the football.
But it's usually been by
And
committee though.
yes, but again, the foundation is to run the football, and I think that Saquon brings a dimension that a guy, gosh, his name slips my mind, but he was the running back in the Super Bowl. I think Saquon Barkley brings that other dimension of being a threat out of the backfield. Swift was really good. Don't think they really used him in that aspect a lot.
Hmm.
However, I think Saquon Barkley really, he's a threat catching the ball and being able to make moves in space. And the one thing that I really like that he adds to this team, which we have not seen in a really long time, is that he's both elusive and he's a powerful guy. One person is not bringing Saquon Barkley to the ground, so I
Right.
like that component. Taking it a step forward, I think that the Bryce Huff signing is kind of a head scratcher for me, considering that you retained both Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. That is a situation that if you plan to continue to develop talent on the edge, I can see him being paired with the other outside guy, over the long term, the rookie that the Eagles brought in last year. I can see that, but this guy's 25 years old, which, if I'm not mistaken, he's the same age as Josh Sweat. So I'm not really particularly sure what that signing is and what that guy brings to the table. I am told, and from what I can see in previous reports, that he's great at stopping the run. So if that's an aspect that, hey, they wanted to get better at, I think they struggled towards the end of the season to get both pass rush and to defend the run. So if that's what the plan is for him, then we'll just have to wait and see. Devontae Parker, kind of an underrated. I think it will be the underrating signing, considering that Quez Watkins, I believe is a free agent now. So we'll have to just see how that plays out. Love the CD Deuce signing. CD Deuce was one of my favorite. Excuse me, one of my favorite Eagles, and I know 2 seasons ago when he was with the Eagles, even having missed 3 to 4 games, He was a guy that actually was tied with leading the league in interception. So I think he brings a little versatility to the back end of the defense. I would like to see them sign someone to be paired up next to him. I am talking a cover guy. Like wouldn't be surprised on either draft day. We can see a potential Justin Simmons signing if we're able to free up some money.
Was it not weird for like CD to have that year on a different team though? Like, I know it's not super uncommon where a guy goes to a team, leaves for a year, then comes back. But it was a little weird, right?
Listen, you know what? I think the NFL offseason and free agency it's chess, it's not checkers. And I think that CD and his I'm not gonna say CD because I don't want to put CJ Gardner Johnson or criticize him. But I think that his agent may have overplayed his hand a little bit. And to my understanding, the money was not substantially different for him to go play in Detroit. So I think that, his agent overplayed his hand a little bit. And I think that was a situation that should have never taken place. But you know what? Hey, what's done is done. And you know what? The guy's he's a sight for sore eyes because the back end certainly needed a guy like him back there.
And I want to talk about Justin Simmons real quick. It's just real quick. I don't think you guys are signing him. If I'm being real honest, I don't think you guys are signing him. I think you're getting a little greedy there, pal. Okay.
Hey, listen. We all can dream, right?
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
That's what I thought. But you know what? I mean, hey.
Give me Justin Jefferson.
We don't know how this is going to continue to shake out, and I do think that the Eagles they do have the cap space. I look at some of the signings. The Devin White signing helps shore up the middle. I would like to see him with some help. I don't know if Zach Bond is going to be able to fulfill that role, especially with losing guys, in the previous years like TJ Edwards and they're just losing guys, and I believe Zach Cunningham is a free agent as well. So they're going to need someone else to step up. I don't know.
Well,
that the Georgia Bulldog crew is going to get it done. So I would like to see another middle linebacker signed.
I didn't watch too many Buccaneers games, and I'll admit it. But I showed you that picture of what his PFR grades or his PFF grades, Devin White, based off his PFF grades, and it's just numbers. Don't take it to heart or anything. He's one of the worst linebackers in the league last year. Talking about Devin White. He's really one of the worst graded linebackers out of 84 linebackers. I think they graded. He was bottom 3. So there's something to that. Maybe it's a new team that'll help him out, but to have a grade that low is something.
So I think some of that has to do with looking at the Buccaneers team. The Buccaneers team wasn't a great team all season long. They won some really critical games, but they were put in situations to where, they have to stop the run. Teams were running the football on them because they were playing from behind in a lot of those games. Look at the first time that they faced Philadelphia. Those guys were playing a lot of coverage. The Eagles went down there and they basically ran the ball down their throat. And Devin White, what I don't think he ever was, is a consistent run stopper. So when teams are able to tee off on a guy like him because he's not a particularly big guy, I think that that comes into question. And then when that happens, you're going to have missed tackles.
It was in 4 different categories. It wasn't just run stuffing. It was also in pass coverage, and he was one of the worst at that as well in the grades. Again, I'm not taking the grades to heart.
Okay,
I didn't watch too many Bucks games either. So
Vince,
I'm not.
Cut it out. You didn't know that, Vince.
I'm not saying that I believe it's a bad pickup. But I see those grades and it shocks me a little bit. And I didn't watch him as a player, so I'm not going to be like he's a bad player. But I'm just saying overall in every category he was one of the worst out of like 84.
Well, that's interesting because though I'm honestly blanking on who the DNs are.
And this is what I'm trying to say about Devin White real quick is that like yes he was a Pro Bowl All Pro type guy, right? But are we getting to Shaquille Leonard territories? Like not injury. I don't think Devin White was injured or anything. But maybe he's kind of getting washed. I'm not saying he is. But is it more of a signing for a name that's getting you excited, or is it actually the player itself? You know what I mean?
So listen, I don't care who you are. Okay, nobody plays 10 years in this league and have 10 good years. Okay, there's down years for everybody, regardless of position that you play, and everybody. The PFF grades. I don't know everything that goes into them, but I would say from watching him play against the Philadelphia Eagles in that playoff game, he played phenomenal football. Okay. And I think some of that, and watching him play against, let's see, who did they lose to in the playoffs? The Lions, I believe they faced in the Lions. That was a very, very good defensive football game, and I don't believe that, for a guy that made the plays that he made in those two games, to say that, hey, he's at the end of his career. I don't believe that that's the case. And he's 20, what is he, 25, 26 years old. I think that he still has something in the tank, and we just have to wait and see how they utilize him. I know that towards the end of the season, being placed on an island is not necessarily a good feeling for linebackers, because not every linebacker can cover like a defensive back, and the Buccaneers were blitzing more than anybody towards the end of the season. So that's asking a lot of your linebackers and your secondary. And maybe he didn't grade out too well in that category. We'll just have to wait and see. I do like the name, so I will say that. But at the end of the day, all these guys are names. Saquon Barkley is a name at this point. He has not consistently been amazing.
Healthy. Well, not healthy. I'd say more healthy than amazing. I feel like when he's on the field, he's producing.
Yes, right. But the best availability is what? Availability. No, I'm sorry. The best ability is availability.
You got it, kind of. You're good.
If the guy ain't available, if he's in the shower, he ain't doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I was going to is you mentioned the grade, which again, at the end of the day, it's stat and a bit, not so much opinion. But anyway, I don't, like I said, honestly, I'm blanking on who the DNs are, but honestly, you two agreed on who's the best run stuffing player in the league, which was VFA. Yeah, who's on that team. So by that, he should be getting double teamed every time they run the ball, which should free up the linebackers such as Devin White a little bit, so they can make tackles and play better in that aspect. I don't know if VFA was injured at all during the year, and again, the DNs, they have to command a little bit of attention instead of just VFA too for that to work. But
I hear you.
I'm just gonna kind of just look at you.
I still think. Well, even if you want to say Vita Vea, right? I feel like the Eagles, just as a whole, have a much better D line. So in that case, Devin White's gonna get help there, right? If he's not garbage, and I'm not saying he is, but if he's not garbage, that D line that they have will help him.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. VFA, that's about the only guy I can think of on the D line itself in Tampa. Well, yeah, Eagles have a massive D-line. They have 3 to 5 guys that are good instead of just one guy that you must block him. Everyone else is mediocre at best.
So let me ask you a question. Who on the defensive line of the Eagles that you think is so amazing?
Jordan Davis, though he does not play a lot of snaps. Fletcher Cox retired, so I can't say him for this upcoming year. Graham, I don't think he's there anymore. But yeah, this past year they have a lot of good, big, solid run stuffers or veterans that have been around.
Bro, they have Jalen Carter. He's probably the most proven guy at this point on the defensive line. Jordan Davis, more than likely they're going to probably start running some sort of 3-4 scheme or something, maybe 2D tackles or, some stand-up linebackers now that they have this new coach, this defensive coaching change. And honestly, I think they can be really good. However, outside of Jalen Carter, and Hassan Reddick, who, I guess he's going to be a stand-up rush guy at this point, Jordan Davis hasn't really produced to the expectation that you believe he should have.
You bring up a good point. The really what it really boils down to is the new change at defense.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter what any of these guys have did. This is a whole new scheme. You guys' scheme was garbage. Let's just be honest. It was bad. It didn't matter what week it was. It just didn't seem to work.
Well, I'm not saying Jordan Davis is great, but he's definitely a good run stopper. But that's the one thing. Like that's the one thing he can do in my mind, and he doesn't even play run stuffing downs every time. I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Just because he doesn't play high volume stats.
Well, at this point, we don't know what he's going to play. But here's the thing, right? I mean, if they go to a 34, he's going to be asked to basically two gap, which is very similar to what Vita Vea does down in Tampa Bay. Although they don't run a 3-4, he is basically a nose tackle in a 43 defense. And you know, I don't know. I don't know who's going to be next to Devin White playing linebacker. So, you know, I thought that the Eagles were at their best when Cunningham was on the field, which is ironic. You know, he just could not play pass coverage. He was very, very solid against the run. So, you know, if the Eagles decide to bring him back on another 1-year deal, you know, or, you know, the Eagles actually had their best linebacker. Gosh, I always want to call that guy TJ Edwards. But their best linebacker got hurt in the preseason. And the Kobe Dean, I don't know that he's ever been healthy. So it just really depends on who's going to line up next to him. I think the cornerbacks, I think will be a lot better. I would like to see Keely Ringo get the start opposite of Slay. I think he can really grow. I do not, and the guy we sniped from the Colts, Isaiah Rodgers. I like to see him in a slot. And you know, I think cutting Bradbury might actually be the way to make way for a Justin Simmons signing. You know, that's 10 to 15 million a year right there if you let that guy walk. You know, so I would certainly be open to seeing Bradbury go. I think he's a heck of a player. I just think that he's beyond his years in the NFL. And then, you know, I'm gonna round up my talk about the Eagles with this Kenny Pickett trade.
Mm-hmm.
I do not like it
because
I don't see how he fits this offense in any sort of way. You know, now we are going to have a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore. I don't know. I think that, you know, there could be some sort of stopgap in the event that Jalen Hurts is injured, where he feels as though that guy is a better option at running his offense if Jalen Hurts can't pick it up or can't make the reads. And and I'm sure they're looking at more of a vertical pro style offense, you know, with him. So I think that's where his strengths lie.
Right.
But I don't like it because I just feel like he's not a consistent quarterback. I feel like, you know, if you gave that guy a 5-yard out each time, I think he'll probably hit 5 out of 10 for some reason or another, even if the guy's completely open.
Well, here's the thing with Kenny Pickett, coming from a Ravens fan. He was never good in the first 3 quarters of football. He was never good. First 3 quarters of a game. Just wasn't it. He was inconsistent, like you said. He wasn't fast with his reads. He wasn't making the right reads half the time. They would be down by a score or 2. In the fourth quarter, for some reason, Kenny Pickett became Dan Marino. Dude had like multiple perfect passing accuracy, perfect passer ratings in the fourth quarter in multiple games this season. I don't know what he was taking, but for some reason in the fourth quarter he clutched up and was able to win a lot of games that they probably shouldn't have won, the way he was playing in the first 3 quarters. So I don't know. It's a mixed bag, and obviously he was a first-round pick. I think the value you guys traded him for, you know what, throw a shot at him. Why not? Good backup quarterback. He might be able to learn.
I saw that the trade after he left, and maybe he was traded solely because of the way he received Russell Wilson.
Absolutely.
But they said
that's what I think it was.
The trade that brought Justin Fields to Chicago, they said he got traded for a mouthpiece. Traded that dude for a bag of chips.
6th-round pick. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Well, I think it was weird. The way Kenny Pickett received Russell Wilson was weird, and it almost seems like, and you know, I was looking around. None of this is official. None of this is anything that has, you know, a lot of truth to it. But from what I had seen, is Kenny Pickett was being told behind closed doors that he was the quarterback still. This was before Russell Wilson was traded and all that. He was told he's still going to be the quarterback. It's his job. And then obviously Russell Wilson gets traded, and then the coaching staff tells Russell Wilson he's the starter. And that's why Kenny Pickett got so upset the way he did. And that's why he got traded. That's the news that I was hearing. Again, I'm not saying it's official or none of it's real or anything, but I can see some truth to it. The way he did, the way they sent him out of there so fast.
Right. I can understand that.
So I can see it, and him with Philly. For some reason, Philly always has an okay backup. I think Kenny will be fine with the Eagles. Obviously you're hoping that he doesn't play at all. You want Jalen Hurts to stay healthy. But
yeah, I want to see Jalen Hurts continue to improve. So yes, absolutely.
But still, I think Kenny Pickett, first round pick, previous first round pick in his draft class, which is looking like a bust of a class. But anyways, he was still a first round quarterback, and cool. I hope he does good in Philly. He's not going too far, so it's good for him.
Right. Well, let's see what happens.
Oh yeah, we'd see a lot of him in the preseason. That'll really tell you what you need to know. But okay, Vincent, are you a New England Patriot fan today, or what?
You got the jersey on, so you better speak up about it.
I'll talk a little bit. Sorry. Let go of J.C. Jackson, which he's done, not the first time they've done that. But I'd rather them not let go of Trent Brown. I know he's getting up there in age, but as long as we can get him back for a okay amount of money, I would have liked him to stay. He's a good lineman. Speaking of,
when's the last time you watched the Patriot game?
Well, obviously, it's been a couple months since it's not season, is it?
Go straight for the jugular. I love it.
But anyway, speaking of linemen, they re-signed Michael Onwenu, who did great this past year.
Whose position did he play? Whose position did he play?
He started at guard, then got moved to tackle.
Whose job did he take?
Yes, but you can still have one
Was
of
it
them.
not Trent Brown?
Play the other tackle spot, but anyway, I think they re-signed him for 3 years. Let me look at. I'm
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was 3 years. Yeah. Not that it's a big deal, Vince, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he did play. I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, they re-signed him 3 years, $57 million. The other guys I've noted of signings, not releases, is today, and actually you told me this. KJ Osborne got signed. I liked him last year. Yep. Yeah. He got signed for a year.
Oh, man. KJ Osborne, he was a really good cornerback, right, Vince?
What?
KJ was a really good corner.
They let go of Jonnu. Re-signed Hunter.
What team and position did KJ Osborne play?
Vikings wide receiver.
Making sure. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, but
so
though they kept Hunter Henry, they still look like they want to do that 2 tight end set because they picked up Austin Hooper for a year.
Austin Hooper hasn't been great, though, for quite a while.
He's not great, but if he's your second tight end, that's all right.
I don't know.
Anyway.
What about Antonio Gibson?
I'm getting there. You want to give this, or do you want me to?
Go ahead. I'll speak my piece on the Pats offseason. I'm just giving you some names.
Okay. Yeah. Since he wants to go there, they signed Antonio Gibson at running back to back up Stevenson. And then Jacoby Brissett got signed for a 1-year deal, obviously.
QB1.
I don't think so, and I don't hope so. Like, he did good in Indy, but he hasn't done anything since. But anyway, they signed him for a year. I think it was like $8 million for a year. But
it's good backup money. That's what you expect to pay for a good backup.
Re-signed a few linebackers, Mike, and then we talked about him yesterday. Uche, yeah. Malcolm Butler retired, but he's been a bum, and honestly, even after the Super Bowl, I said personally, I didn't think he was a better corner than who did we have at that time? Why am I blanking? Anyway, I thought he was corner number 2. even back then after the Super Bowl. I thought he was corner number 2 because he's never been consistent. But anyway, he retired, not a big deal. J.C. Jackson, though, is another corner, so getting, I don't want to say getting low because they still have some younger guys that played all right. But yeah, let's see, I mentioned Gibson. You won't know who he is. He probably won't play a lot. I think those are the main guys.
Okay. So you guys have had it's a weird offseason because it's kind of the transition from Belichick's team to Mayo's team, and I don't think it's going to be a big change culturally. I think there'll be a slight change there. Obviously we're going to really see what this team becomes with this coming up draft, right? Because it's going to be really guys that they want on their team for the next couple years. But just looking at offseason wise, obviously Jacoby Brissett, I don't think it's going to be quarterback 1 either. I think there's a possibility, depending on who they draft in the draft. I do think they go QB, but there's a possibility that Jacoby might have to start this year. And I think you guys aren't planning on winning this year anyways. I don't know if you planned on the Patriots going to the playoffs or anything, but I certainly don't. So I don't. It doesn't matter if they start Jacoby or not. I do like Antonio Gibson. I've always liked him as a pass catcher. I thought he's a really good pairing with Ramondre Stevenson. Obviously, we'll see how the offense goes with those two. I think Ramondre more of a downhill guy, but he can also be a 3-down back type of person. But I think Gibson as a backup running back is really good. I did also like KJ Osborne a lot as a slot receiver. It's interesting to see where they put him on the offense because they have Juju, and I think Juju can run the slot a lot too. So I don't know. We'll have to see there. But yeah, I think the offseason, for where they're trying to go, I don't think anything was bad. I don't think re-signing a 30-year-old tackle, Trent Brown, that's probably going to look to go win somewhere, wants to go back to the Patriots anyways. So
like I said, as long as it's okay money, he can be serviceable, but I don't expect him to be amazing, is what I was getting at.
Yeah, I just don't see why they would do that instead of just having a younger guy take his place. I don't know. So I thought the Patriots offseason was good for what they are working with right now, trying to transition from Bill to Mayo.
Oh, I forgot to add this for the people that don't know. Yeah, they signed Brissett because Mac Jones, of course, is no longer a Patriot.
For people that don't know, you didn't know this. How do you feel about the Mac Jones trade? How about that?
I'm fine with that. I didn't like him or Zappy. They both sucked.
But as a backup quarterback, you'd rather have Zappy instead of Mac Jones?
Well, what do you mean by that? Like, as of right now, Jacoby Brissett will be hopefully the backup. I'd rather have Jacoby Brissett.
But say the next couple of years down the line, Jacoby's signed to a 1-year deal.
I still like Jacoby better than Mac Jones or Zappy.
But Jacoby's on a 1-year deal, so if he doesn't resign this coming year, so next year your backup will be Zappy.
But Mac Jones he's getting near the end of his contract.
Yeah, but if he's a backup, you're not going to pay him starter money.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jacoby Jones isn't getting paid starter money either. But
Jacoby Jones, Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett, my bad.
No, I get you, but I'm saying he's only on contract for 1 year. Next year, he's not going to be on the team unless you re-sign him. Vince, are you there, brother?
Yeah, I'm looking at what we're doing.
So next year, your backup quarterback, unless you guys draft one or sign one, is Bailey Zappi.
Oh, Zappy.
So I'm saying, would you rather have had Mac Jones as a backup or Bailey Zappi?
They both sucked, but
we're talking about a guy that made the Pro Bowl. Again, we could say what we want about the Pro Bowl. Still made the Pro Bowl, and he showed potential. Mac Jones showed potential as a starter his first rookie year.
Yeah, since then though, not so much. Zappy showed in very few games, he showed potential too, but you wouldn't be getting paid as much as Mac Jones, so I give it to Zappy by a hair.
I don't know. But no, like I said, I like the Patriots draft. What really, the offseason for the Patriots really comes down to this draft. They got to nail the draft. if they want to go anywhere the next couple of years.
They never make a lot of free agent moves, like big names. It's very rare. Like they got Randy Moss that 1 year. That was rare. But most times...
That was a trade.
John O. Smith was a pretty solid...
He was solid, but he's
Matthew
not,
Judon?
He's not ginormous. But that's normally not the Patriots what they like to do. But
Darrelle Revis?
I said normally. I didn't say ever.
But you just named two of the greatest players at their position of all time, almost. You named Randy Moss and Darrelle Revis.
Ago was that?
Okay, it was a good. But I also said Matthew Judon, who his first season with the Patriots, he had double-digit sacks.
Mm-hmm. He wasn't all pro or anything, but okay. I said normally. I didn't say ever. Stop trying to pick that apart. Anyway, they typically get good, solid.
I'm picking
talent.
it apart because you said what you said.
They normally get good, solid talent at reasonable price.
Well, that's because they were getting at a discount because teams wanted to go win. That's not going to happen now.
Good, solid talent that would fit into their system because Bill Belichick, whether through free agency or even the draft, would find guys that not necessarily looked at bigger names. That's why he had a lot of guys develop into stars that weren't drafted as high. But he knew how to get the best out of a player that matched his system.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know, because, like, the Patriots draft classes the past, 6 years have been garbage. So I don't know.
Gonzalez, I know he's a first-rounder, so it's not like the normal...
He's a first-rounder, and he's really good, but he also got injured his first year, so we didn't really get to see his whole year play out.
So, again, I can't say that because I was just talking about they normally get guys later in the draft that develop to be stars, but Gonzalez is good. Got other guys they've drafted that showed potential.
You just keep talking about the past, bro. It's all about Gerard Mayo's future.
What do you see him doing with the team? Or do you see him how close, I guess?
I think that's actually a question that you should be answering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not the Patriots fan here.
I'm asking you, then I'll give you my opinion.
So you're gonna go off of my opinion. Gotcha.
No.
Gotcha. No, you want my opinion on just this next coming year?
I'm saying how close do you think he will? Do you think he'll still retain or instill a Bill Belichick way, or do you think
I think a lot of it. I think a lot of what he has his coaching will be based off of Bill Belichick. He's coming from that tree, right? But I do think that as a former player, he'll be more personable with the. I don't even know if that's a word. He'll be more player friendly, a lot more player friendly. So I think the players, instead of respecting Gerard Mayo, well, they'll respect him too if this is the case. But I feel like the players will resonate with Gerard Mayo more than they would with Bill Belichick. You know what I mean? So yes, it'll be tough, but I also feel like the players will respect him a lot, and it'll be more like a brotherhood, kind of what D'Amico has with the Texans.
Honestly, a rock that's being used to stone you is probably more player friendly than Bill Belichick was to some guys because he was very blunt and honest.
And that's one of the reasons why I don't think Bill has a job this year. He's a good coach without Brady. I think that without Brady he is still a good coach. I don't think Brady made him, but I do think the way he acts is might be one of the reasons why he's not a head coach this year. There's a lot of factors that goes into that too, but I think that's one of the reasons.
Being, it's a softer time nowadays, but I'm not going to get into that. But
I wouldn't say that, bro. I'm just saying the teams might not want to buy into his way of doing that.
What I mean by softer time is you can't be as blunt and
you absolutely can. You might not keep your job for very long, but you absolutely can.
People are going to get angry at you.
People are going to get angry no matter what. So just be you. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Whatever
is what I'm saying. A lot more now than what they used to, but
yeah. Anyway.
I think Bill Belichick just has a personality where everybody that describes him talks about how he is really adamant about, hey, do your job. And I think he set
your 111th. Yep.
He set a precedent of what that means to actually do your job. And I think that, you know, some people, that's offensive. You know, to be, you know, when they
Now,
want, when listen, if your job is to sweep the floor, Vince, and I say, Vince, sweep the floor. You got one job, sweep the floor. You should be the best floor sweeper to ever walk this earth. You may not have a problem with me saying that.
mm,
But that doesn't mean that Dwight, who does the same exact thing that you do, will take that very kindly. Oh, you disrespected me, man. You told me I got one job. You know what? You right. But I don't like how you said it to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as I'm not a Gen Z. I'm not a Gen X. So,
yeah, you're saying which is true. People like nowadays.
You're a baby boomer.
Again, I didn't want to go
hey,
into
hey,
all
hey,
this.
take it easy.
I didn't want to go into all this, but yeah, I agree. What you're saying though, basically, is
But wait,
people
wait.
nowadays
A minute ago,
might
you just said how. Look, that's how. You understood it. You know what it is.
they pay more attention in the tone of voice of what you're saying than what you're actually saying, the words you're saying, what you're actually telling them to do. They pay more attention on how it's said instead of what's being said.
Yeah, and some of that's true. I mean, and you know, me, I think that there is, I'm not going to say a fine line, right? But there's a line between respecting, say, me, and disrespecting me. And I don't think that that line is wide at all. I think it's very, very thin. And I think that, you know, you can, you know, I've seen people on airplanes, you know, where the tight attendant says, "Hey, take your seat," and the people are upset because they're being told to take their seat. Well, she's telling you to take your seat for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know, hey, you know, we're hitting turbulence, or hey, there's too many people up, you know, whatever the case is, you know, and people get bent out of shape over those sorts of things. People don't like to be told what to do, you know, and I think that these young millionaires, you know, are very, very, you know, subject to that. And for me, I'm sorry if I'm making that kind of money. Hey, listen, man, you can go tell me, go wash the toilet. Go wash them toilet. I'm like, yes, sir, boss. I'm gonna go wash them toilet as long as my paycheck is right. Because you know, I'm not gonna say your treatment to me is not important because I'm never gonna give that message. But I think that understanding why you're there is the key. And I think that Bill Belichick was very, very clear with that. He was so clear to the point that Bill Belichick will cut you mid-season and never thought twice about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, now people respected that because that philosophy turned into what? Wins and Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Now that Brady's not there, and if Brady ain't putting up with it, or Brady's now publicly talking about it, oh man, Brady didn't like it. That means I didn't have to like it, right? What am I doing here? And now Bill's out, right?
Right.
So it's not a complicated philosophy, Vince. I know Dwight got it before me having even go on that tangent. But it's the same philosophy with your dad. Hey, you know, and you know what he says about your chores. I'm not going to get into it, but that's what it is. You got one job. Do your job. And that don't work everywhere. You know, you can work at Walmart and they can probably talk crazy to you, right? Which is weird. You know, I feel like the less money you make, people should be treating you like you like you the man. Hey man, how you doing? You want some coffee? You know, you working at Walmart, but no, it seems like people that work at places in retail, they get treated the worst. You know? I saw a report where a player was complaining about how you know, certain NFL organizations don't have food and breakfast for you when you go into the building. Where others have food, breakfast, snacks, and all the juices and everything. And it's like, why are you complaining, bro? You get millions of dollars. Buy your own juices and snacks.
Right.
You know? that company probably wants to save money on feeding you, whom should have fed themselves before they came. I can't go to work and expect a meal. I digress. I'm sorry, boys.
You're good. I don't know. That's just the NFL. That's just the way it is, man.
Yeah, and you know, and
Because you got to think a lot of these players, not all of them. There's absolutely some cases. A lot of these guys don't have to, their first job is the NFL. You know what I mean? So like
right.
they haven't had to deal with any of that. So they feel they're more entitled, right?
Right. Yep.
So I mean, I think that's what some of the issue. That's where some of the issue lies.
I had a conversation with someone today, who, this is a little bit off topic, but I think that it comes because I feel like we've segued it into player respect, as it relates to how Bill Belichick would treat people and so forth and so on. But I talked to a guy today, and he was talking about the phenom Caleb Williams. And he said to me, what do I feel? He asked me, what do you think about Caleb Williams? Do you think that, he's hungry? I said, well, I can't ever presume to know what someone's drive is. I said, but I would hope that he wants to be successful on the next level. But it's my understanding that he's making what some NFL players are making it right now in college. I don't have any proof of validity of that. I've just heard, rumors and information that that's the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the guy goes, well, that might be true. And he says, well, how do you feel about him wanting, what did he say? Ownership shares or stock or some sort of thing, like stock options in the
stock market?
Stock market? No, no. He wanted a percentage of the. No, but I don't know if there's truth behind that report.
Okay.
Similar. Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
But let's just assume that is true.
Mm.
And I said to him, well, you know what? If a company says, hey, what could 1% of, say, the Denver Broncos be worth? Now, I don't know the numbers, right? But let's assume that
the people that own the Broncos also own Walmart, so it's probably a lot of money.
Okay, well, all right. Let's say the Bears then. Let's say Bears is probably worth what, $5 billion. That seemed to be what an average kind of market value for these NFL teams is. And you say 1%, so let's say what, $100 million. He's gonna get that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you want your money up front? And the guy goes, well, wouldn't you want that money to continuously come in? And I said, well, yeah, you would, but who would be crazy enough to give you basically money for life? That's a lifetime contract.
Mm-hmm. Without him earning it. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I said. I said I can see it on his second or third. And it just amazes me the mindset of some of these players today, unproven players at that. And that goes into respect, because before, when I was growing up, or even today, is that when you went into a job you had a 90-day period where you had to basically prove that you were, you're to have decent individual, an employee, or they'd be like, hey, it ain't working out, take care. You know what I mean? We give you a good reference, But after that 90 days, you had a little bit more job security, but you still had to kind of earn it, right?
Mm-hmm.
This guy wants ownership in a franchise, and that to me is just a lack of respect for the trade, because you should have enough drive to want to earn everything you get. And that's something to me that that's maybe the old Bill Belichick mindset, is just making players earn what they get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I've been talking for 20 minutes, but that's all I had to say about that. And I had to bring up Caleb because he's the only college player I know.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh yeah, I like Marvin Harrison. He's not going to the Colts, Vince. Take it easy.
I'm aware.
Probably a Cardinal. No, I mean, it makes sense to bring up Caleb Williams with the Justin Fields trade. He's gonna be the first pick, unless the Bears really like one of these other prospects, which maybe it's the Bears. We'll see. But the first pick is Caleb. In my mind, the first pick is Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I'm sure. if he really wasn't a good person, like a lot of people speculate, right? And this is speculation, fully speculation. But Matt thinks he's not a good person, right? Matt has talked about how he doesn't like Caleb Williams for a lot of different reasons.
Right.
If Caleb was really a bad person, you know what he would do? He would say, I don't want to play for the Bears. And he could pull a John Elway or an Eli Manning and not go to the team that has the first pick. He's actually from the DMV area. So I'm sure the Commanders, he'd love to go to the Commanders.
No, he would not love to go to the Commanders.
maybe not the team, but the area. The area, right? You know what I mean? He's from the DMV. It'd be home. So, if he really wasn't this good person, I feel like he would pull that kind of route. Because he's certainly got the potential to be up there with a guy like John Elway that did the same thing, and a guy like Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls, but he's right. Up there for as far as prospect goes. So I'm not sure how real any of those reports are. You know what I mean? We'll have to see when he actually gets signed, when he actually puts his contract out there. We'll see if he gets paid a crazy amount of money or he does get some ownership in a team. Then we know the reports are true. But until then, right. I'm not going to say anything about Caleb Williams' character. I'm just going to let it be. I see the talent on the field, and I think he is worthy of the first overall pick.
That's fair enough. And that's all that, in my mind, that matters. There was a super talented guy that liked to smoke weed. Hey, weed is legal some places. I really wish that, he didn't get suspended so much because I would have loved to see what he had.
I'm not quite sure who you're talking about, but Josh Gordon was very similar.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Josh Gordon was a stud, but he could not stay off the weed. He was a stud.
Listen, if you can go out there and you can run basically 100 wind sprints, you deserve to be out there, even if you're smoking weed.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't giving them an advantage. If anything, it was disadvantaged. But
right. And there's a lot of players now that have come out and said they've smoked weed before a game. Calvin, I think said it. I think Calvin said it before every game. He would smoke because of how many injuries he had in the end of his career. A little shorter than other guys, but still. So right. I don't know. It sucks. It is what it is. But yeah. Let's get back to the main thing that we were trying to talk about, the off season, our team's off season. The Ravens really haven't done much as far as off-season moves go. They did the one thing that I wanted them to do, and that was re-sign Justin Madubuike. The numbers were a bit more than I was expecting, but just having him back is all that matters, really. I was expecting a $20 million a year. He got 25. It's 5 more than he got, but in my mind, he's a young and up-and-coming D-tackle that was really good production. I mean, why not bring him back? We usually let our good pass rushers leave. That's just how it's been going with Za'Darius and not T-Sizzle, sorry. Well, we did let him go too, but that was end of his career. But Za'Darius and Judon, really good productive seasons. We ended up letting that walk. I was fully expecting us to let Madubuike go. Didn't happen. I'm glad we kept him. We did lose Patrick Queen, which I would say is probably the only big loss that we had. If I had to say we had a big loss, it was probably Patrick Queen. He went to the Steelers, so no love lost there. I wish him a great season. This isn't my words. This is something I saw on Twitter. I wish him a great season, but I also wish him an 0-16 season. So, no love lost to Patrick Queen. I'm glad he got his money. I wanted him to get his money. I really thought he should have went to the Seahawks, come back with Mike McDonald, but I guess Mike didn't want him back for that kind of money, which is fair. But, no, I liked Patrick. I liked Geno. Tyler Huntley's a Brown now. There's some guys that I did hate to see. Duvernay, good return man. He went to the Jags.
By the way, it's 0-17 now.
Doesn't matter, I hope he doesn't win a game this season. But yeah, those were all our kind of the losses and the signings. We did bring back some guys that I didn't mind. Josh Johnson, Malik Harrison. I think Josh can be our backup quarterback. He can fill in for that role. Good vet. Malik Harrison, really good special teamer for us. Can also fill in at linebacker. And some plays, I think I like those two re-signings. And then as far as signing from another team, it's only been one, but it's the only one that I wanted this entire season. I talked about him being traded here a while ago, and it was King Henry. Similar to the Eagles, we don't really sign big name backs. Honestly, we don't really sign running backs at all. We usually just draft them, and they're okay. But we have occasionally brought in a backer or two. None to the caliber of Derrick Henry. We've had running backs that are very skillful, like Derrick Henry. Jamal Lewis, comes to mind. He's probably the greatest running back in Ravens history. Priest Holmes, we had Priest Holmes at a point Ray Rice was really damn good. Ricky Williams. We've had a lot of bigger name running backs, in the franchise. But Kevin King Henry, you could say he's been the best running back the past 5 years, 10 years. 5 years, probably 5 years, because I think he's only been in the league for 8, so 5 years. Probably been the most consistent running back these past 5 years. He hasn't been getting hurt much. He's had a 1,000-yard season the past 5 seasons. Had a 2,000-yard season a couple years ago. I mean, it's King Henry, and I'm excited to have him on the team. I'm curious to see how the offense plays with him, and I'm curious to see how other defenses stack the box, or if they, how they're going to go about having Lamar and having Derrick Henry. How I'm kind of curious to see how they go about that.
I'm just curious. Do you know how much they paid him or not?
Derrick Henry, 2 for 2. So it's 8 years, $8 million a year, $7 million a year, $7 million a year.
8 years?
No. $7 million for 2 years.
Not bad.
And the second year is more. If we need to, we can. We're basically paying most of the money this year, so it's more of a front-loaded contract. So if he isn't the same person, we can get rid of him next year for a very little amount. So it works out for us and it works out for him. There's also incentives thrown in there, so he can be making up to $10 million a year, depending on snap count, touchdowns, probably stuff like that. But it's King Henry, man. If he lives up to even last season, you can't say he wasn't the most dominant last season, but guess what? Still the second leading rusher in the AFC. Had the second most rushing yards in the AFC last year. If we get that production, sky's the limit. I'm happy to have King Henry. There's some moves that I'd like to see, some other re-signings and stuff. I think Clowney coming back would be nice. But we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the free agency goes, and we'll talk about it going down the line, of course. But I'm excited. I think after the playoff game, I was a little down. But so far, with signing a King Henry and bringing some and Matabike back, I'm excited for the new season.
Nice.
But yeah, that's the offseason.
Hey, I'm glad to hear it. I like the Ravens. I watch a lot of the Ravens games. You guys are always well coached. And you guys always draft well. Your GM.
Yep.
Excuse me, Ozzie Newsome.
No. DaCosta, Eric DaCosta.
Oh, okay.
He's a protege of Ozzie. He's been our GM since the Lamar draft. Eric DaCosta has been our GM since the Lamar draft.
Okay. Well, needless to say, you guys always draft well. You guys know where to play your hands and where your strengths are and where you can develop guys. So I think you guys are going to be fine. And I like the move. So let's just wait. I'm looking forward to seeing some Ravens football. Maybe one day we can all meet up and go to a Ravens game.
Vince gotta get out of that mystery mobile first.